nobody showed up to my PhD defense. Not one family member in the audience. My research presentation echoed through the lecture hall, while the reserved for families section stayed empty. 6 chairs, lined up like tombstones. I answered every question, defended every methodology, and walked out with doctor before my name. Then I checked my phone. 17 missed calls, all from my mother. The voicemail was 3 words. "We need money." I sent back 4. "Congratulations would have been nice." Then I blocked every single one of them. My name is Dr. Sophia Martinez, and this is the story of how my family tried to steal my success, my money, and my sanity, and how I made sure the whole world watched them fail. The thing about being the eldest daughter in a Latino family is that you're not really a child. You're an investment, a retirement plan, a bank account with a heartbeat. From the moment I could count, I was counting for them. I was 9 when my father sat me down at our kitchen table in San Antonio, his rough construction worker hands folded over a stack of bills. "Mija," he said, his voice soft but heavy. "You're the smart one. Your sister Daniela, she's different. She needs more help. You understand, right?" I nodded, even though I didn't understand. Not really. What I understood was that Daniela got dance classes, while I got a paper route. Daniela got birthday parties, while I got extra chores. Daniela got to be the princess, and I got to pay for the castle. By 16, I was working at a nursing home on weekends, wiping down tables and wheeling residents to bingo. My mother would text me between shifts. "Daniela needs money for homecoming, $200. Not a question. A statement. An invoice. I'd send it. Every time. "You're so responsible," she'd say when I handed her cash. "Not like your sister. She's more delicate." Delicate. That was the word they used. Like Daniela was made of porcelain and I was made of brick. Like I didn't crack. Like I didn't break. When I got into UT Austin with a full ride, my mother cried. But not the way mothers cry in movies, with pride swelling their chests. She cried because I was leaving. Because the ATM was moving 3 hours north. "Who's going to help us?" she asked, her voice small and accusing. "Your father's back is bad. Daniela still has 2 years of high school." "I'll send money, Mama," I said, even though my scholarship barely covered books. And I did. Every month. While my roommates bought lattes and went to football games, I worked at the library, sent $300 home, and ate ramen in my dorm room. I told myself it was temporary, that once I graduated, once I got a real job, things would balance out. They didn't. My bachelor's led to a master's. My master's led to a PhD program at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. I moved to Baltimore, lived in a basement apartment with a window that only opened halfway, and worked 80-hour weeks in a lab that smelled like formaldehyde and ambition. But the requests never stopped. "Daniela needs a car, just $5,000 for a down payment. Your father's truck broke down, $1,200 for repairs. We're behind on the mortgage. Can you send $2,000? I sent it. All of it. I took out loans. I picked up side gigs teaching online classes. I said yes until yes became the only word I knew. And through it all, I kept thinking, when I finish my PhD, when I become Dr. Martinez, they'll finally see me. They'll be proud. They'll show up. They didn't. The day of my defense was May 14th, 2025, a Thursday. The kind of spring day where the air smells like fresh-cut grass and possibility. I'd spent 5 years on my dissertation, modeling protein structures for early cancer detection. My committee loved it. My advisor called it groundbreaking. I sent my family the details 3 months in advance. Date, time, location. I even sent a Google Calendar invite with airplane emojis. My mother replied, "We'll try." Daniela didn't respond. My father sent a thumbs up emoji. Just that. a yellow cartoon hand pointing upward, like my entire academic career could be summarized in a single gesture. The morning of the defense, I woke up at 5 a.m., too anxious to sleep. I ironed my blazer, practiced my opening statement in the mirror, and checked my phone 17 times for a "good luck" text that never came. By 9:25, I peeked into the lecture hall. The audience was filling in. Grad students, a few professors, some undergrads fulfilling a seminar requirement. And there, in the front row, 6 empty chairs with handwritten signs taped to the backs, reserved for family. I'd made those signs myself. At 9:30, the defense began. I stood at the podium, clicked to my first slide, and started talking about ligand binding and computational modeling. My voice was steady. My hands didn't shake. I was good at this. I'd earned this. But every few minutes, my eyes drifted to those empty chairs. The light from the projector made them glow, like 6 small spotlights pointing at nothing. An hour later, I finished. The committee asked questions. I answered. They deliberated for 11 minutes. I counted. And then Dr. Reeves smiled. "Congratulations, Dr. Martinez." The room erupted in applause. People I barely knew stood up. My lab partner, Jin, took a photo of me shaking hands with the committee chair, my face frozen in a smile that felt like it was cracking at the edges. Afterwards, people hugged me, congratulated me, asked where I was celebrating. I mumbled something about dinner and slipped out to the hallway. That's when I checked my phone. 17 missed calls, all from my mother. 3 voicemails. I pressed play on the first. "Sophia, it's your mother. Call me back. It's important." The second. "Sophia, why aren't you answering your phone? We need to talk. It's about Daniela." The third. "Mija, I don't know why you're ignoring us, but we need $3,500 by Friday. Daniela's wedding deposit is due, and the venue is threatening to cancel. Call me." I stood there, in the empty hallway, staring at my phone. My hands were shaking now, a tremor that started in my fingertips and worked its way up to my shoulders. Not one congratulations. Not one, "how'd it go?" Not even a "sorry we couldn't make it." Just, "we need money." I opened my messages and typed, "Congratulations would have been nice." Then I blocked my mother's, my father's, Daniela's, my aunts, my uncles, every single person who'd ever texted me with their hand out. And for the first time in my 28 years, I walked out of that building and felt something I'd never felt before. Not relief, not sadness, rage. The celebration dinner my lab threw for me at a Thai restaurant felt hollow. People kept toasting Dr. Martinez, and every time they said that, I thought about those 6 empty chairs. Jin noticed I wasn't touching my pad thai. She asked me quietly, "You okay?" I said, "Family stuff." She nodded. Jin knew. She'd heard me on the phone before, the hushed conversations in the lab break room where I'd promised to send money I didn't have. She squeezed my hand under the table, and I swallowed the lump in my throat. That night, I walked home alone. Baltimore was warm and sticky, the kind of humid that makes your clothes cling to your skin. I climbed the stairs to my basement apartment, unlocked the door, and stood in the doorway for a long moment. It was small. The ceiling was low, the carpet was beige and stained in the corners, but it was mine. I'd paid for it with teaching assistant stipends and research grants and every dollar I didn't send home. I sat on my bed and opened my banking app. My checking account, $847. My savings, $2,134. I just earned a PhD and I had less than $3,000 to my name. Meanwhile, my parents lived in a 4-bedroom house. Daniela drove a 2023 Honda CR-V I'd helped pay for. And now she was planning a wedding I wasn't even invited to, and they wanted me to fund it. I opened my email. There, buried under spam and lab notifications, was a message from my mother. Subject line, "Urgent, Daniela's wedding." I clicked it. "Sophia,
I don't know why you're not answering your phone. This is serious. Daniela's wedding venue needs $3,500 by Friday or they're canceling. She's already stressed enough and your father and I are tapped out. You're the only one who can help. I know you just finished school, so you should have extra money now. Please wire it to my account ASAP. Mama. I read it 3 times. The words blurred together, each one more absurd than the last. You should have extra money now. Like a PhD defense was a lottery ticket, like 5 years of 80-hour weeks had earned me a windfall instead of debt. I clicked reply, and then I stopped. Because replying meant engaging. It meant explaining. It meant justifying my own existence, my own boundaries, my own worth. And I was done. Instead, I opened a new browser tab and typed, "How to protect yourself from financial
Abuse. The first result was a Reddit thread. The second, an article from a financial advocacy site. The third, a lawyer's blog about family members committing identity theft. Identity theft. The words sat there on the screen, glowing in the dim light of my apartment. My stomach twisted. I opened a new tab and logged into my credit monitoring account, something I'd signed up for years ago and barely checked. The page loaded slowly, the little spinning wheel making my heart pound. And then I saw it. 2 new credit inquiries, both from last month, one from Capital One, one from Chase. I hadn't applied for any credit cards. I clicked through to my full report. 2 accounts, both opened 3 weeks ago, both with my name, my social security number, my date of birth. But the address listed wasn't mine. It was my parents' house in San Antonio. The balances were already climbing. Capital One, $4,200. Chase, $6,800. I opened the transaction history. Bridal Elegance Boutique, $1,850. San Antonio Event Center, deposit, $3,500. Flores & Co. Catering, $2,200. Violetta's Beauty Bar, $950. My vision blurred. I blinked and the numbers swam back into focus. Daniela's wedding. They were paying for Daniela's wedding with credit cards in my name. I stood up so fast my chair tipped over. My hands were shaking again, but this time it wasn't from nerves. It was from something darker, something that felt like a caged animal finally realizing the door was open. I grabbed my phone and dialed the number on the Capital One statement. A cheerful automated voice asked me to select from a menu. I pressed 0 over and over until I got a human. Capital One Fraud Department, this is Marcus. How can I help you? My name is Sophia Martinez, I said, my voice cold and mechanical. I need to report identity theft. There was a pause, the sound of typing. Okay, Ms. Martinez, can you verify your social security number and date of birth? I did. More typing. I'm showing an account opened on April 22nd at our San Antonio branch. Is this the account in question? Yes, I didn't open it. I've never been to that branch. I see. The account shows a co-applicant listed as Isabel Martinez. Do you know this person? My mother. Her full name was Isabella. Everyone called her Bella. Yes, I said, quietly. That's my mother. I'm sorry, ma'am. We'll need to start a fraud investigation. You'll receive paperwork within 24 to 48 hours. In the meantime, I'm freezing this account. Do you have any other cards you're concerned about? Chase. Same situation. I'd recommend calling them next. And Ms. Martinez, you might want to file a police report. It helps with the investigation. I thanked him and hung up. Then I called Chase. Same script, same cold, mechanical tone, same result. By the time I finished, it was past midnight. I sat on my bed, staring at the wall, my phone heavy in my hand. My mother had stolen my identity. Not a stranger, not some faceless hacker, my own mother. And she'd done it to pay for a wedding I wasn't even invited to.
I didn't sleep that night. I sat at my tiny desk, the one I'd bought secondhand from a grad student who was moving to California, and I made a plan. First, I documented everything. Screenshots of the credit card counts, screenshots of my mother's email, photos of the transaction history. I saved them all to a cloud folder labeled Evidence May 2025. Second, I filed a police report online with the San Antonio PD. The form was long and cold, asking for details in little boxes. Nature of the crime, estimated financial loss, relationship to suspect. I typed it all out, my fingers moving faster than my thoughts. When I got to the box that said suspect name, I hesitated for only a second. Then I typed, Isabella Martinez, mother. I hit submit. Third, I opened my email and drafted a message to my family, not to send yet, just to write, to see the words outside my head. You didn't come to my PhD defense. You didn't congratulate me. You didn't even ask how it went. Instead, you stole my identity to pay for a wedding I wasn't even invited to. I filed fraud reports with both banks and a police report with SAPD. This is not a threat. This is a fact. You will be hearing from them soon. I stared at it for a long time. Then I deleted it. Because sending it would have given them a chance to spin the story, to call me dramatic, to say I was overreacting, to make me the villain. I wasn't going to give them that. Instead, I was going to let the system do the talking. The next morning, I went to campus and taught my last undergraduate lab session. The students were loud and chaotic, arguing over pipettes and pH strips, and for 2 hours I got to be normal, just Dr. Martinez, the instructor, not Dr. Martinez, the victim. But when I got home, there was a voicemail waiting. Ms. Martinez, this is Detective Laura Chen with the San Antonio Police Department. I'm calling regarding the identity theft report you filed. I've reviewed the case, and I'd like to set up a time to speak with you. Please call me back at your earliest convenience. I called her back immediately. Detective Chen's voice was calm, professional, the kind of voice that made you feel like things were under control. Thank you for calling back, Ms. Martinez. I've been assigned to your case. Can you walk me through what happened? I did. I told her about the credit cards, the wedding expenses, the fact that my mother's name was on the account as a co-applicant. And you didn't give her permission to use your information. No. Have you spoken to her about this? No, I blocked her number after I found out. There was a pause. Ms. Martinez, I'm going to be honest with you. Cases like this, where the suspect is a family member, can be complicated. A lot of victims choose not to press charges. Are you sure you want to move forward? Yes. Even if it means your mother could face criminal charges? Yes. Another pause. Then, okay, I'll need you to come down to the station to give a formal statement. Can you do that this week? I'm in Baltimore, but I can fly down. That would be helpful. Let me know when you're available and we'll coordinate. I hung up and immediately booked a flight. Southwest, $287 round trip. I'd be in San Antonio in 3 days. I didn't tell anyone I was coming. Not my parents, not Daniela. I landed at San Antonio International on a Tuesday afternoon, rented the cheapest car I could find, and drove straight to the police station. Detective Chen was younger than I expected, maybe mid-30s with short black hair and a no-nonsense handshake. She led me to a small interview room that smelled like burnt coffee and old carpet. She pulled out a recorder and said, "Before we start, I want to make sure you understand what this process looks like. If we move forward, I'll be contacting your mother for questioning. Depending on what she says, this could result in charges. Are you prepared for that?" Yes. Even if it means your mother could face criminal charges. Yes. Another pause. Then, okay, I'll need you to come down to the station to give a formal statement. Can you do that this week? I'm in Baltimore, but I can fly down. That would be helpful. Let me know when you're available and we'll coordinate. I hung up and immediately booked a flight. Southwest, $287 round trip. I'd be in San Antonio in 3 days. I didn't tell anyone I was coming. Not my parents, not Daniela. I landed at San Antonio International on a Tuesday afternoon, rented the cheapest car I could find, and drove straight to the police station. Detective Chen was younger than I expected, maybe mid-30s with short black hair and a no-nonsense handshake. She pulled out a recorder and said, "Before we start, I want to make sure you understand what this process looks like. If we move forward, I'll be contacting your mother for questioning. Depending on what she says, this could result in charges. Are you prepared for that?" "Yes." "Even if it means your mother could face criminal charges?" "Yes." Another pause. Then, "Okay, I'll need you to come down to the station to give a formal statement. Can you do that this week?" "I'm in Baltimore, but I can fly down." "That would be helpful. Let me know when you're available and we'll coordinate." I hung up and immediately booked a flight. Southwest, $287 round trip. I'd be in San Antonio in 3 days. I didn't tell anyone I was coming. Not my parents, not Daniela. I landed at San Antonio International on a Tuesday afternoon.
Rented the cheapest car I could find and drove straight to the police station. Detective Chen was younger than I expected, maybe mid-30s, with short black hair and a no-nonsense handshake. She led me to a small interview room that smelled like burnt coffee and old carpet. "Before we start," she said, pulling out a recorder, "I want to make sure you understand what this process looks like. If we move forward, I'll be contacting your mother for questioning. Depending on what she says, this could result in charges. Are you prepared for that?" "Yes." She pressed record and asked me to start from the beginning. I told her everything. The missed offense, the voicemail, the credit cards, the wedding expenses. She took notes, her pen scratching across the paper in neat, even lines. When I finished, she leaned back and crossed her arms. "Do you have any proof that you didn't give her permission?" "I have the email she sent asking for $3,500 after the cards were already opened. If I had agreed to help, why would she need to ask?" She nodded. "That's good. What else?" "I have text records showing I've been sending her money for years. If I was willing to help, I would have just sent it like I always do." "Better." She made another note. "Miss Martinez, I'm going to be straight with you. Your mother's going to say you gave her permission. She's going to say it was a misunderstanding. Family cases are hard to prosecute because it's often your word against theirs." "What if I record her admitting it?" Detective Chin looked up. "Texas is a one-party consent state. If you record a conversation you're a part of, it's legal. But be careful. Don't coach her. Don't lead her. Just ask questions and let her talk." I nodded. She handed me a business card. "Call me after you talk to her. If she admits it, we have a case. If she doesn't, we'll figure out plan B." I sat in the rental car outside my parents' house for 20 minutes, staring at the front door. It was a nice house. 4 bedrooms, 2-car garage, a lawn that was always just a little too green. I'd helped pay the mortgage on this house for 10 years. I pulled out my phone, opened the voice recorder app, and pressed record. Then I tucked it into my jacket pocket and walked to the door. I knocked. My father answered. He looked older than I remembered, his hair more gray, his shoulders more stooped. For a second, his face lit up. "Mija, what are you doing here?" "I need to talk to Mama." His smile faded. "She's inside. Is everything okay?" "No." I stepped past him into the house. It smelled like cinnamon and coffee, the way it always had. My mother was in the kitchen, pulling something out of the oven. When she saw me, she froze. "Sophia, what are you doing here?" "We need to talk." She set down the pan and wiped her hands on a towel. "If this is about the money, it's about the credit cards." Her face went pale. Just for a second. Then she recovered, her expression hardening. "I don't know what you're talking about." Capital One and Chase. Both opened in my name. Both linked to this address. Both used to pay for Daniela's wedding. She glanced at my father, who was standing in the doorway, looking confused. "Sophia, you're being dramatic. I was trying to help you build credit." "By committing fraud?"
It's not fraud if it's family. It's fraud if you forge my signature, Mama. It's fraud if you use my social security number without permission. It's fraud if you open accounts I didn't agree to. You've always been so selfish, she snapped, her voice rising. Your sister needed help. We needed help. And you were off in Maryland, too busy to even come home? I was getting my PhD. And we were drowning, she shouted. Do you know how hard it's been? Your father's back, the mortgage, Daniela's wedding. So you stole from me. She flinched. I didn't steal, I borrowed. Without asking. That's called stealing. You would have said no. Exactly. The room went silent. My father was staring at my mother, his mouth half open, like he was seeing her for the first time. I pulled out my phone, stopped the recording, and saved it. I filed a police report, Mama. The banks are investigating, and I just recorded you admitting it. Her face went from pale to gray. You called the police? On your own mother? You committed a crime. Sophia, please. Her voice cracked. Don't do this. We can fix it. I'll pay it back. Just don't. You can explain it to Detective Chin. I walked out. Behind me, I heard my mother's voice rising into a wail, my father's confused questions, the sound of something breaking. I didn't look back. I got in the rental car, drove to a gas station, and sat in the parking lot until my hands stopped shaking. Then I called Detective Chen. I have the recording. Good. Send it to me. I'll contact your mother tomorrow. I sent it, then sat there staring at the oil-stained pavement, feeling nothing and everything at once. Detective Chen called me 2 days later. I was back in Baltimore unpacking my suitcase when my phone rang. Miss Martinez, I spoke to your mother this morning. She initially denied everything, but when I played her the recording, she broke down. She admitted to opening the accounts and said she was planning to pay them off. With what money? She didn't have a good answer for that. I forwarded the case to the DA's office. They'll decide whether to press charges. What are the chances they will? Hi, you have documentation, a confession, and financial harm. This is a solid case. I thanked her and hung up. Then I sat on my bed and stared at the wall. I'd done it. I'd actually done it. And I didn't feel victorious. I just felt tired. 3 weeks later, I got a call from an unknown San Antonio number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Sophia? It's Daniela. Her voice is small, shaky. Can we talk? I don't think that's a good idea. Please, just 5 minutes. I sighed. Fine. 5 minutes. I didn't know, okay? I didn't know Mama opened those cards in your name. She told me you'd agreed to help. And you believed her? I mean, yeah, you always help. Not anymore. There was a long pause. Then, the wedding's off. The venue canceled when they found out about the fraud investigation. Everyone knows now. My friends, his family, everyone. I should have felt something. Guilt, maybe satisfaction, something. I felt nothing. I'm sorry that happened, I said, and I meant it. Not enough to fix it, but sorry that it had come to this. You ruined everything, she whispered. No, Daniela. Mama did. I just stopped letting her get away with it. I hung up. 4 months later, I started my postdoc at Johns Hopkins. My mother was charged with identity theft and fraud, both misdemeanors. She pled guilty as part of a plea deal and was sentenced to 2 years of probation, 200 hours of community service, and ordered to pay full restitution, $11,000 plus fees. I never saw a dime. I didn't expect to. Daniela never rescheduled her wedding. Last I heard, her fiancé called it off. My father sent me one email. I hope you're happy. I didn't respond. Because I wasn't happy, but I was free, and that was better. I hung 3 things on the wall of my new apartment: my PhD diploma, the police report, and a printed screenshot of my credit score, now 780, recovered and protected. If you've ever had to choose between your peace and your family, you're not alone. Tell me where you're watching from. Let me know I'm not the only one who had to lock the door to finally breathe.